like coming through in my family SUV. Welcome up here to the beautiful Colorado mountains where I love to come and drive cars and evaluate them. This is the 2021 Toyota Venza Hybrid Limited. So this is like Venza to the max. And welcome back to my personal channel. If you guys don't know, I run Out of Spec Studios. We have a whole bunch of outlets where we review cars, adventure in them, do a whole bunch of stuff. This is where I am just ranting about cars I am personally interested in. And yeah, the Venza is pretty neat. So the previous generation Venza was not a fan. Didn't like it at all. This one, well, we got some neat things. Just so you know what we're reviewing here, here's the window sticker. This one's $43,100. As far as I can tell, this is $43,000 for the coolest sunroof ever. I'll just show you some of the stuff that I really don't care about. Toyotas always have the slowest trunk ever. And so here you can see inside, very nice. You can put things. It's got the JBL sound system, which is good, but the usability of it's really bad. I'll tell you about that. It's got fairly good trunk space, all this thing. Anyway, our colleague Jordan reviewed this car for Out of Spec Reviews, so this is my opportunity to tell you just a little bit about it, as it screams for me to turn the parking lights off so you guys had a better intro. Let's put this away in here. Turn on the beast of the Venza, and I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but I'm going to show you the coolest feature ever. So, take a look up here at the sunroof. You can see nice blue sky, see those trees, very nice. Hit this, boom! I've hit this about 10,000 times during my week of testing, just driving around like this, because I think it is the coolest thing ever. So neat, really is. So, inside, I guess we'll talk about it as we drive. So let's just go sport mode and go careening down my favorite canyon road and wide open throttle. Here we go. A little bit of traction control there, actually. Pretty neat. So, driving it up the hill, we gain about, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 feet of elevation, something like that, and ran the battery pretty much out, as I do with most Toyota hybrids, and it went real slow. And now we're kind of building up okay speed, at least. 217 horsepower at sea level with a full charge. Up here, I don't know, I'm even gasping for breath when I drive up to the top of the hill up here, but we're just going to drive down normally here in the Venza. Why am I reviewing a Venza? Well, I don't really know. I have enough to talk about, I guess. Heads-up display, this one being the limited, kind of has everything, although this start-stop button seems like an afterthought, doesn't it? That doesn't seem normal. And Toyota buttons in general are always just laid out really weird. There's so many good qualities about modern Toyotas that I've noticed in driving them. I've driven almost every one in the lineup now. And some of them are like really cool and well thought out. And then some of them have like a heated steering wheel over here, but your heated seats here. This one also has cooled seats, but it's a little chilly outside, 50 degrees. I have it on cooled seats. You can see here we've been wide open up that entire hill. We did not gain any speed, and that is because the battery is getting a little bit toasty. Actually, toasty and low. Let me just pull right here for a half a second. Oh, wow, look at that Volvo wagon. Hell yeah, brother. That thing is sick. Okay, I can pull this over here. Now you can see the big thing. So you can see the combustion engines running through a starter motor generator, which is then charging up the battery. It has 2 electric motors. It does, I think, like 20 kilowatts on the rear axle. Anyway, it's like 50, 60 horsepower in the rear axle. Then you have this starter generator to feed the front wheels, and it's a lithium-ion battery pack, which is nice, and it is all thermally managed, just not as well as you would hope. Now, the RAV4 Prime, which is like the plug-in hybrid, I actually overheated climbing up on this road. Let's just drop it some gears. We'll talk about this in a second. Because I guess it just had so much electric torque, it actually shut the entire electric system off. And Volvos do the same thing when you drive their plug-in hybrids hard. And, you know, our job is to review cars and push them, and I would drive it like that if it was my personal vehicle, and they should be able to handle a 12-mile mountain road blast. But so many cars can't handle being driven hard up this road. Now, I just shot a POV motoring video on the way up, and we're shooting a Kyle Connor video on the way down, so double content. Let's talk about driving dynamics. Well, I first want to start with this engine. So I told you how everything works in the powertrain, but then it's also made it to a CVT automatic transmission, which is weird. So drive versus S makes no difference in really any Toyota. All S means in a Toyota is a gear limiter. And a gear limiter says I'm going to operate completely normally until I hit the gear that shows on the screen, and then I'm not going to come out of that gear. However, here in the CVT Toyota hybrids, I can't figure out what this does. It raises the engine RPM up, so you would think I have better response out of a corner, maybe slightly. And I guess it does help with some deceleration, but like the difference between 2 and 3 is totally dependent on throttle position. What's weird about Toyota CVTs is when you let off the throttle, the revs increase. When you get on the throttle, the revs drop a bit. It's very odd. Look, I'm upshifting here. It's doing nothing. Makes no difference. Honestly, I just keep pulling down on this. You'll hear it beep. It's saying it won't let me go lower than an arbitrary 2. I just keep pulling down on this stock because, yeah, I just want the revs up, pegged at the limiter. Why not, right? Just have as much engine braking as possible, save the brakes a little bit of temperature, and maybe we get a little bit more engine performance. It will upshift through the gears. Upshift. It just holds at max RPM, and then this goes 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. It makes no difference, really. So very weird drivetrain. The best way to drive these cars is just put it in drive. And unless you're going downhill like this, like on the way up, it would make no difference if I was in manual mode or drive. You're just pegged. You can watch our review about all the techie stuff in here. It's got a big screen, but really old software. So the screen's nice, but the software is really bad. And I mean like really bad. Like this whole intuitive display for volume that you have to touch, that makes no sense. And then you have your track back and right. You also can do this from the steering wheel, which is nice, I guess. But then it's like, good luck trying to touch where you want to touch. I want that to be big. Man, is this infuriatingly terrible of a UI. Like worse than the Lexus mousepad. I'd rather have the mousepad here so I have something to think about. Back into drive, we'll drop the revs. You can see the battery's gaining a little bit of charge. I guess it'd be easier for you here. On the way up, I've actually managed to get this one down into 1 bar, which I thought was pretty neat. My goal is always to drain the battery. In hybrids, they usually don't let you. So seat comfort's weird too. You sit up very high in this car, which a lot of people will like and prefer because you do get a great around visibility. You can also change this to have you know, regular rear view mirror to a camera one. I actually like the camera one in this. Some cars have a really bad camera one. Now let's just take a look at this house, which is coming soon for sale. It's like a little compound. Man, that is neat. They have a house here and the garage over there. Would love to have this road as my driveway. Full power through here. And you know what? Gotta say, chassis dynamics are awesome. Look at this thing getting around. It's soft. You gotta settle it in and then lean over. You can't just go hard input like this. It just kind of gets all out of sorts. You gotta lean it in and then lean on that tire once the weight is transferred, sort of like this. Although I did feel traction control kick on, but the light didn't go. That was weird. Honestly, like, it's not really meant to be a performance car, of course, but it's not bad. And the brake pedal blending is really good. I actually like the brake pedal in this car, unlike most other Toyota hybrids. It's weird how each Toyota has a little bit of a different drivetrain and brake pedal calibration on each of their models. So the Venza is really like, I guess, a step down from the Highlander in terms of sizing. I don't know. I think it's just they like to have tons of models because they can. And yeah, I don't think it looks particularly nice on the outside, and I don't think it's particularly user-friendly or anything extravagant on the inside. Although today I had to drive back from Boulder to Fort Collins, and I took this, and wow, was I just like onto the phone, totally zoned out, using really good driver assistance. And I was like, I kind of get the Venza. You just get in it, and then you arrive at your destination. You don't think about the car you're driving. You don't think about how weird this JBL plastic thing is in a $41,000 build. It just gets you there. And once you've fiddled with all of this and you realize that it's impossible to figure out how to use this nav system and all these buttons are terrible, it's a really nice, quiet, comfortable car to just drive in. And if you're honestly not a car enthusiast, I mean, even for me, sometimes I don't want a car that I'm totally enthused about. This is sort of checks the boxes. It's reliable. It's got Toyota drivetrain. It's not flashy at all. People don't look at this and say, oh, wow, you must be going out to tear up the canyons. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And the other weird thing is you can tell it's behind the times. It has a wireless charger, which must have been like a big deal. Whoa, we put in a wireless charger. And then it has 2 USB-A ports. Nowhere in here are there USB-C ports. I just think that is so funny. Yeah, so every time you move the shifter in a Toyota to the left, it goes S4, kind of no matter the speed that you're going. And I just think that is extremely silly. Let's go air-conditioned seat right now. We've gone heat. Let's try the AC seats. This car around town is amazingly aggravating, not from a comfort standpoint. It's easy to drive, easy to place. It's quite a nice car to just cruise around. But it makes you think the police are constantly chasing you. And that is because, for whatever reason, in this particular hybrid drivetrain, the high-frequency electrical noises that you get are insane. And it really just sounds like a police car or fire truck is just following you, like faintly in the distance. You know when you pull up to like a 4-way intersection, you hear sirens, you're like, oh, let me just wait. And then you're looking around. It made me do that like 5 times. I was just like, zzz. It's just amazing how tuned the electric motors are, and it goes up and down in the same frequency as a police or emergency vehicle. I was just amazed that somehow made it past anyone. Like, how is that made it to a final production here? So that's a weird oddity of this particular drivetrain. I can't say I've ever noticed that in any other Toyota hybrid before. But I felt that was worth pointing out. I think the price is actually not bad. $41,000 for a car that's arguably this premium's quite nice. I always like to fly through this section. Not sure why, but it's a pleasant section to come through with some vigor. And yeah, good road for sure. Not amazing, but pretty good. Nice elevation change. Lucky we live near it. And we have a full charge on the battery now. Hell yeah. Gotta love it. So, the Venza Limited Hybrid is a car. That's all I can say about it. It's a car that's pretty techy, that like has a lot of features, but the features aren't integrated that well. So it's got a lot of stuff. It's got lane centering, it's got adaptive cruise control, it's got a fairly good sound system, but then it's kind of like, the way it feels like to me is each individual team accomplished their task when designing this car properly. The seats, good. The sound system, good. The driver assistance, good. The heads-up display, good. And everything there is good. But then there was no one who really integrated it all. It's just kind of, oh, okay, well, we'll put the sound system controls here, and then we'll have auto high beam controls there, and then we'll have parking controls over here. Like, why is the parking brake in the center, and then the traction control off over here? You should switch that. That makes no sense. It really is just weird, and a lot of Toyotas are like this. It's like there's no final calibration or integration team to make it all come through. But I will say, from a driving dynamics standpoint, for what this car is intended for, man, can you hustle it around. It's very composed. Unlike some other models that I've driven, they kind of fall apart when you drive them hard. This is like actually quite fun. I would say if you could put a really stout drivetrain in this, that would be awesome. But from a suspension, tire choice, calibration on the comfort level, but also the sportiness, the way that the car turns in, maintains its composure when going around a long corner such as this. Look, just steering input set, and it's very fixed. Really good, gotta say. I like it. I like this car. And I really hated the last generation. I was like a Venza hater. I was like, that car's dumb. Why would you buy that? So, that's all of my thoughts on the Venza, I guess. That's all I have to share with you, at least. And since this is my channel, it doesn't have to be a real comprehensive review. You can, if you're looking for a comprehensive review, such as how much legroom you have and if this car makes sense to purchase or not, this is, obviously, you've learned by now, not the video for you. That video will be on Out of Spec Reviews YouTube channel. I'll also link to that video in the description, although usually we're a few weeks behind on that channel from when we test cars. Since I just started mine, this will go up instantly. Although, 2 people will watch this video, I'm sure, and that's okay. Just having a good time with a camera strapped to my head. Thanks so much for watching another Kyle Counter YouTube video as we shred the Toyota Venza around some corners here in Colorado. Gotta love it. See you on the next one. Full throttle. I don't want to scare the biker with the Venza. Be like, coming through in my family SUV.